India doesn't pick sides. It positions itself between them. And what happened in Iran's Strait of Hormuz might be the clearest example of this strategy in action. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important shipping routes in the world. It's a narrow stretch of water between Iran and other Gulf countries, and a huge portion of the world's oil supplies passes through it. So when tensions rise here, it becomes a global problem.
Strait of Hormuz.
President Trump asked the chairman of the Joint Chiefs why they can't just immediately reopen the Strait of Hormuz.
Oil prices go haywire everywhere. Your packages get delayed, and countries start taking sides. Now, during periods of conflict, some ships face delays, threats of getting bombed, or even straight up getting bombed. But here's what's interesting. Indian ships often continue passing through relatively smoothly. And this isn't because India controls the region. It doesn't. It's because India has working relationships with all sides involved. It has ties with Iran, it has ties with Gulf countries, it has ties with the West. So when conflict happens, India is not seen as a threat by either side. Blocking Indian trade doesn't really benefit anyone either. And that gives India something very valuable: access. While others are forced to deal with disruption, India continues moving. And this is not a one-off situation. We saw the exact same pattern during the Russia-Ukraine war, when India ended up increasing trade with both sides. But before we go there, we need to understand how India actually pulls this off. Because this isn't luck. There's a system in place. Number one, India doesn't stay neutral. The first thing we need to understand is India is not neutral, at least not in the traditional sense. Instead, it builds relationships with multiple power centers at the same time. The US, Russia, Middle Eastern countries, Asian alliances. India is present in all of them and never fully dependent on any one single one. So instead of standing outside the system, India is inside multiple systems all at once. And that gives it flexibility. Number two, strategic ambiguity. This strategy is more subtle. India rarely takes strong absolute public positions, especially in global conflicts. Its statements, if they ever make statements because Indian leaders avoid answering questions, are often measured and carefully worded and open to interpretation. If you look at this through a Western lens, it looks like indecision. But in reality, it's strategic ambiguity. By avoiding extreme positions, India keeps communication channels open on all sides. Because the moment you fully commit to one side, you lose access to the other side. India avoids that trap. Number three, everyone needs India. India is one of the largest and fastest growing markets in the world. It has a massive population, a growing economy, and increasing geopolitical importance, which means most countries don't want to lose access to India. India may not be running the world, but the people that run the world need Indians, either in the form of workers or as consumers. India matters. And because India matters, countries are willing to tolerate its balancing act, even if they don't fully agree with it. But there's one more deeper reason that no one talks about: India's geography. And it might be both its biggest strength and its biggest limitation. But to understand that, we need to go back to the Russia-Ukraine war. When the Russia-Ukraine war started, the world divided very quickly. Countries were expected to take sides. Sanctions were imposed on Russia. But India didn't follow that pattern. Instead, India increased its imports of Russian oil significantly because Russian oil was being sold at a discount. And India likes discounts. At the same time, India didn't cut ties with the West. It continued working with the US and Europe. Trade relationships stayed intact. So what happened? India was buying cheaper oil from Russia and still maintaining strong relationships with Western countries, which meant it was benefiting from both sides. Now, this wasn't something India suddenly invented during the war. This was possible because of relationships built over decades. India had long-standing defense ties with Russia. At the same time, it had growing economic and strategic ties with the West. So when the conflict happened, India didn't need to reposition itself. It was already in position, and that's the key. India doesn't need to react to conflicts. It's already prepared long before they happen. But this behavior didn't just appear out of nowhere. It comes from history. During the Cold War, the world was divided between two major blocs, the US and the Soviet Union. Most countries had to choose. India didn't want to choose because choosing one side meant becoming dependent on it. So India became part of the non-alignment movement. At that time, India was just coming out of 200 years of exploitation. So not taking sides was a necessity, a survival strategy. Over time, that survival strategy evolved from staying out of alliances to being part of multiple alliances all at the same time. But this strategy comes with trade-offs because from the outside, it doesn't always look strategic. Sometimes it looks opportunistic. Some countries see India as unreliable, someone that won't fully commit. And in a world that's becoming more polarized, divided, and deglobalization gaining momentum, this strategy may become harder to maintain. And this is where geography comes in. India sits in one of the most complex regions in the world. To its west, Pakistan, Middle East. To its north, China. To its east, Southeast Asia. It is surrounded by major powers, and almost all of them hate India. India doesn't have the luxury of isolating itself. It needs stability everywhere, so it tries to build relationships everywhere. What looks like strategy is also necessity. India plays both sides because its geography doesn't give it any other option. And interestingly, this same geography hasn't just shaped India's global strategy, it has also shaped how people behave within the country, including things like civic sense and cleanliness. You can check out that video next.